Well, I want to turn around and talk to the people that are here, but I know to be on camera we have to look that way for the video. Good morning. I'm Representative Cynthia Ball. I represent part of Wake County in the General Assembly in the House, and this is my 5th term. And that is relevant because in each of the previous years, other than my 1st term, including this one, I have filed a bill similar to this. We are here today to talk about the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. It is near and dear to my heart. I learned about it in my 1st term, and I have tried to do all I could to get some additional funding for this group. I'm joined here by several people I'll introduce in just a minute, but I want to recognize just by chance that we have some people here from Wake County principals and assistant principals, right? You want to let me know which of you are on? Okay. They just happen to be here because this is all about our teachers, our principals, our schools, our public schools. I'm not going to go through all the data. I think Dr. Hodge is probably going to do that some, but I do want to hit some high points. We lose half our teachers after their 5th year. Half our teachers. We are in a crisis. It's not gotten any better. I think the data that I had 4 terms ago was very similar. It's only gotten worse. Pandemic didn't help. The fact that we haven't raised teacher pay to the extent it should be raised, the fact that we have done away with a lot of good recruitment and retention programs, or underfunded them at least. So I'm here to fight against this crisis, and glad to have all these people with me. Dr. Elizabeth Hodge is going to join me here, and she is going to explain the program. And she is in charge. She has a great, huge number of people that are on the staff in the program. So, yeah. Dr. Hodge.
Thank you so much. So, thank you, Representative Ball, for your support of the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. Our team is so excited to be here today to share our program's impact on the state of the teacher workforce. Our initiatives have resulted in significant improvements in teacher retention. In fact, 94% of beginning teachers that are supported by our program are returning to the classroom each year. So, as Representative Ball said, I'm Elizabeth Hodge, and I'm the lead administrator for the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. Our program focuses on increasing teacher efficacy and effectiveness, reducing attrition, and contributing to student achievement and well-being. Our amazing team does this by providing a beginning teacher institute, professional development, and individualized instructional coaching. Our services are administered through our partnerships with 11 public universities in the UNC system and partnering with over 83 school districts. Our team consists of 10 regional directors, 42 instructional coaches that support over 1,200 beginning teachers, which impacts 40,000 students. But to fully appreciate the impact of our program that it's having, I brought with us today individuals from our program that will share their experiences and successes. So Dr. Rosenbaum, who serves as our regional director, is here with us, as well as Caroline Bean and Christina Butler. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Rosenbaum.
Good morning, thank you. As Dr. Hodge said, I'm Betsy Rosenbaum. I'm the Director of Partnerships and Engagement at Appalachian State University and the Reich College of Education. Part of my job is the Regional Director for the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program at App State. When I began working at App State in 2017, I came into the program as the one coach that Appalachian State had at the time in the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. At the time, I was serving 16 schools by myself in 5 different districts and had a wonderful experience there, but had an opportunity to step into the regional director position and have since hired 5 coaches that are doing an amazing job serving 152 teachers across the northwest part of North Carolina in 13 school districts. We love doing this work because it is very contextual to the needs of our partners. We at App State are all about serving and supporting our partners in the very important ways that they need that work to be done. Most of our partners are rural school systems. They have small central offices, they have big jobs, and they need support. And so partnerships come into play for them in a very important way because they can't do this work alone in supporting new teachers. I recently sat in on the dissertation committee at App State last Wednesday, in which the candidate shared with us that in May of 2024, 25% of North Carolina teachers in their first year of teaching left the classroom. So in that BT 1 year, they did not come back after this past May of 2024. That is very recent and very real, and we feel that every day. The population that we serve has very much grown to be traditionally trained teachers, and it's now 50% non-traditionally trained teachers. So we know that our work is big and it's important. And for my 3 daughters, it's important that they have teachers that want to stay in the classroom and feel loved and supported. And so I'm very passionate about this work and passionate about putting the right coaches in place to support our beginning teachers so that they stay much longer than those first 3 years that we serve them. So now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Caroline Beam, one of our North Carolina New Teacher Support Program coaches at App State. She's been with our program since 2021, and I'm going to let her share some more nuanced stories about her work. Dr. Beam?
Thank you so much. As Dr. Rosenbaum shared, I'm in year 4 as a new teacher support coach. I live in Stokes County. I work kind of the easternmost App State region, so I'm in Yadkin, Elkin, Hickory, Wilkes County, and I love the work that I do. It is valuable every day. I have 33 people that I meet with weekly, and some of those meetings are in person, some of them are virtual. It is what it needs to be in that moment, and that's one of the things that I love about this work. I love that being a new teacher support coach is about connections and relationships. And that can be, this is Miss Butler, who you're gonna meet in a minute. It can be me and Miss Butler having a conversation about the first graders in her classroom, but it can swell and it can become a really big and expansive thing too, so that I can connect teachers to the work of the university. I can connect the professors at the university to the realities in the classroom, and the work becomes reciprocal. And it's a networking opportunity between classrooms and between districts. I recently had a teacher on her spring break say to me, I want to learn some more. Could I use some time during my spring break to go visit and observe another kindergarten teacher? And I was like, okay, well, let me think about who's not on spring break right now. So that's the beauty of being in a region. While some were on spring break, some were not, she went right up to Watauga County, spent a whole day in another classroom. So I'm going to give you 2 stories. And as Dr. Rosenbaum shared, one of them is deeply personal. I'm a mama of a 3rd grader. As a kindergartner, she had 4 different teachers. We couldn't keep anybody. It was alarming. It was sad. It was scary for me because all I could think is, my girl needs to learn how to read. The other story I want to share with you is a moment from 2 years ago. We were nearing spring break in a district, and I was in a middle school coaching a teacher, and I went in, and she was really deflated on this day. And she said, I think I'm going to go ahead and give my resignation. And I said, oh, no, let's not do it today. I said, how are you feeling? And she said, I am so tired. She said, I'm worn out. You know, things hadn't gone very well that day. And I said, okay, well, today's Thursday and spring break starts tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, you're on spring break. Like, let's just get to spring break. Could we make that our goal? And she said, yeah, I think I can do that. I think I can make it. Because what I realized, and what we all probably know, is she was just worn out. We just needed to rest, and things were going to look a lot different on the other side of spring break. And it did, and we had a great 4th quarter. But I think those are the moments where connecting with other people, as we all know, it can make our individual problems feel a little lighter. It can give us somebody to talk to through those moments. We can have a system that helps us problem solve in those moments. And isn't the world better when we are connected, when we have people with us, when we have a community around us? And that's why I love North Carolina New Teacher Support. Christina Butler is a teacher in Wilkes County. She's an amazing teacher in Wilkes County. She's also finishing up a master's degree at App State. So she's working hard in all the ways, and I'm going to let her talk to you a little bit about her experience being coached.
Good morning. My name is Christina Butler. Like Caroline just mentioned, I am a first grade teacher. I'm on my second year of teaching, and I think it's a big reflection compared to how I felt last year without having the North Carolina new teacher support system. Last year, I was afraid, as Dr. Rosenbaum mentioned, that I was going to fall into the 25% of teachers that didn't return to the classroom after their first year. And if you go into teaching, you know you go into it for the kids. It's not about the money that you make, but it's for the kids. And my first year, just a couple weeks in, I said, man, I don't know if I want to continue to do this. This year, back in July, I got an email about the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. And it just automatically came with a new sense of support that I just felt that I didn't have last year, and it's a new support that I knew I was going to have this year. And as Caroline mentioned, just her coming in 1-2 times a week, I can give her a phone call if I need to, just to talk about my well-beings and not necessarily data or the curriculum that I'm supposed to be teaching. And she's really wonderful about just reminding that outside of teaching, we're still human beings and that our mental health does matter. And I remember Caroline came in, it was right after an MTSS meeting, and if you don't know how they go, sometimes they're not very positive and they're very discouraging sometimes, and that's exactly what it was. It was discouraging. We've tried new things. The data wasn't showing. Caroline came in and she said, "Hey friend, how are you doing today?" So I started talking about the data and the meeting and how awful I felt and how exhausted I was. And she just gently reminded me, I didn't ask you about teaching, I asked how you were doing. And I think it was just a true, a moment that she offered a sense of relief that I really needed to recharge and feel like I could continue teaching and be there for the students and be the teacher that I need to be for them. And I just think sometimes a simple and a sincere, how are you doing, can really make or break. And that's just the essence of a true support system. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to have this. And I wish that I was able to go back and redo my first year of teaching and have the same amount of support, because it has truly made or break this year. And I'm thankful that I was able to come back. And I want to have a long-lasting career in education. I love teaching. And again, I'm just so thankful for this program and for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See? I want to first of all recognize my other primary sponsors, Lindsay Prather from Buncombe County, who's was a teaching fellow and is a champion for our public schools. She represents part of Buncombe County. I'm going to bring you up in just a second. And Rodney Pierce, who is a freshman, but believe me, in the legislature, but not in the not in the teaching profession, for sure. So, and Garland Pierce is also a champion for public schools. He's from Scotland County and a great legislator, and I've learned a lot from that gentleman. I'm going to bring them up and let them say a few things, because I want you to hear from them, too. They're part of this bill. Representative Julie Von Hafen was not able to be here, so I want to give her a shout-out. We are determined to try to do something to affect teacher retention and recruitment. So, Lindsay?
I'll just be really brief. Folks have said some amazing things here today. So I am Lindsay Prather, state representative for District 115 in Buncombe County. And because the districts were redrawn recently, I actually get to represent the high school where I used to teach in Leicester, North Carolina. And while I certainly miss the classroom, those first couple of years were incredibly difficult. Because of a couple of different circumstances, my first year teaching, I actually started 6 weeks into the school year, teaching a subject that I had not been licensed in. I ended up getting that license, but I lacked a lot of support that first year. Through no one's fault, it's just the way that it worked out. I have an identical twin sister who is also a high school teacher. She started the same year that I did, and she got all of that support as a new teacher. And you know, being able to talk about kind of the differences between our experiences. I did survive. I made it 6 years in the classroom. But it really would have made such a difference if I had had the support that these folks are providing to teachers today. I didn't know who to go to when I had questions. I felt very alone. I had a small classroom with no windows. There was a lot of crying. And to have, if there had been somebody who had come and just, you know, asked me how I was doing occasionally, I think it would have been a much different first year. And so the work that they are doing is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely needed. The numbers of folks that are leaving the classroom is really, really scary. And so we've got to do something. And so what better way, we're talking a lot about efficiency in government these days, what better way than to take a program that we know is working and just continue to support it more. So I am absolutely a proponent of this, and am very proud to be a sponsor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Pierce?
Yes, ma'am.
Rodney Pierce.
Yes, ma'am. All right, well, good morning, everyone. I am Rodney D. Pierce. I represent House District 27, which is Halifax, Northampton, and Warren counties, what I like to call the neglected Northeast part of this state. I came into education because I was raised by educators. I did take the non-traditional route. I was a lateral entry. I taught middle school social studies for about 9 years. And I got into politics because of education, because I learned state government has more to do with public education in North Carolina than federal government. So I started paying more attention to what was going on, got more knowledgeable about school boards, county commissions, how they play a role in all of this. But I was fortunate. My experience, unfortunately, Lindsay, was not like yours. I was supported. I'm a Leandro kid, all right? So Halifax County Schools, I was a sophomore, giving away my age. I was a house school sophomore when Leandro was filed in 1994. So I was in one of those original plaintiff districts as a student when that lawsuit was filed. Now, I'm not only an alumnus of that district, which is an original plaintiff, I'm also a parent of students in that district, as well as a former teacher. So I look at this whole thing through 3 lenses: parent, teacher, as well as former student. So I was fortunate in that I had that support. I had a BT mentor within the district. I had veteran teachers around me across the hall that would talk to me and help me. But everybody does not have that experience. Everybody doesn't have that. So when Representative Ball called me and asked me to jump on this bill, anything education related that is going to empower educators, administrators, and most importantly, students, their families, and their communities, I'm always on board with that. So thank you, Representative Ball, for asking me to be a part of this. And remember, not all of us have that story that I had of having those support systems, not only within the school, but within the district. And that's why we need to support legislation like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you can see we are well represented here in the General Assembly with people who love public schools and are fighting for public schools, and you all know that. You know that there are some people that you can be sure are going to be filing bills. These people behind me, this is not the only bill they're on, that supports our public schools. And I am determined. I'm determined not to take no for an answer. I'm asking some of the people who are those making some decisions, and you know what I mean, what is it going to take to get this $4 million? That's like a nickel in your pocket to our budget. And it is the best investment that I can think of. I'm sure there are others, child care and so forth, so people can stay in the workforce, certainly is well needed, but I am a product of public schools. I love public schools, and we've got to continue fighting for them. And this bill, I don't have a bill number to give you yet, but I will. It's coming down sometime today. But it's just $4 million to enlarge the program, and we hope not to have to fill some gaps that may occur because of some other funding from the federal government not being available. We're going to cross fingers and hope that doesn't. So write your congressman, write your legislators here about the importance of doing what we're doing in North Carolina through the North Carolina New Teachers Support Program. Thank you. Welcome any questions, including those people who are here. By the way, folks, these people are also from the New Teachers Support Program. I could get each one of them up here to give a few words, I'm sure. But anyway, any questions? Somebody ask me one, please. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious what specific
Yes.
This is Dr. Hodge.
Well, and certainly my colleagues can attest to. So as we've shared, the attrition rate is increasing. And the challenges that we're having is that we're having more alternatively prepared teachers coming through the pipeline. And poses a challenge because they haven't had the traditional preparation that many teachers go through. So there are different unique supports that are needed. And so our focus really is on supporting the residency licensure, the permit to teach, and being able to lift up those folks that came in through the non-traditional route. So that speaks to your question.
Today, these wonderful people are going around and meeting with the legislators, and they're taking this message to them as well. So any more questions? Thank you all for taking the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
So I moved from Florida. I had an alternate reciprocal license, and it was during COVID, so I kind of understand. But dealing with NCDPI and certification, like I don't know how it was for new teachers now, but it felt almost Kafkaesque. Just
Really?
being on hold for 2 hours to answer a question about this. So that might pose another kind of roadblock, another stressor in the new teacher trying to deal with. And I know there has to be guardrails as far as, hiring competent people. But are there any discussions as to how to streamline the process for certification happening?
Well, so what was interesting, Dr. Rosenbaum shared how she had just sat in on a dissertation. One of my students who's working on his dissertation is actually working on a non-renewal monitoring system that speaks to just that. So when you come in, there are many challenges that not only with the NECES evaluation, where the teachers have to be proficient to be able to be renewed, but also in terms of the licensures that they have to obtain. And so they're actually working on a tool that will assist principals in tracking their progress. And I'm sure there's other initiatives as well.
And thank you.
There's a wealth of knowledge right here in this room. Maybe we can solve some problems all working together. But thank you all so much for what you do. Thank you for what you do. It means a lot to me personally, but it means wealth of things to North Carolina and to our future, both economically and those, I'm going to have to say this, those huge tax cuts are preventing us, to my mind, to be able to give those teacher raises we need, to support other very important programs like this one. And that is not why companies come to North Carolina. They come to North Carolina for an educated workforce. And you all in this room are the reason. So thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.